what about California? What happens in 62?
62, Nixon goes to California, and he has a battle in the primary with Joe Schell, who's a hardline conservative, and they ripped up Nixon from the right. He's a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. He's close to all these liberal folks, and so they didn't beat him, but they wounded him in the primary. They got a third of the vote, and then the senator didn't endorse him in the election. And then Nixon was gaining on Pat Brown, and the Cuban Missile Crisis happened. I was an editorial writer at that time in St. Louis. That froze the linebackers, if you will. And Nixon's surge stopped, and he was beaten badly. And then he came out and he had that famous last press conference. He said he wasn't going to be at the press conference, and he came down from upstairs and walked in and said, "Gentlemen, you're going to be a little not like what's going on here, because I'm taking away your real asset. This is my last press conference. You won't have Nixon to kick around anymore. It is over." And he moved to New York to practice law. And so Richard Nixon's political career was over. Howard K. Smith, the famous ABC correspondent, ran a national show for 1 hour, The Political Obituary of Richard Nixon, our show, featuring Alger Hiss, the communist spy who Richard Nixon had helped send to prison. And so it was over for Nixon, and the comeback began. I'll tell you when the comeback began. Nixon told Goldwater that he knew Goldwater was going to win the nomination. "I'll introduce you at the convention." And he went out there and introduced Goldwater to the audience in the convention. The party tour was torn apart between Rockefeller and Goldwater forces. And Nixon brought the party together that night. And Barry Goldwater said, "Extremism is an offense of liberty is no vice," tore it apart. But Nixon went out and campaigned harder that year than anyone for Barry Goldwater. And when the election was over, Goldwater, of course, was wiped out by Lyndon Johnson by 25 points. Goldwater said, "Dick Nixon, you went out, you did it for me, you did it for the party, and I'll tell you this, if you do decide to run again, I'm going to be behind you." And that's basically when I arrived at Nixon's office. And what I told the former vice president repeatedly, "Sir, you've got Barry Goldwater here. You yourself are liked and beloved in the center of the Republican Party, the county chairman, everybody loves you, and you've got Goldwater with you. If we can lock up the right and lock up the Nixon center, there is no way Nelson Rockefeller can beat you." And so that's what we worked on in that first year, calling in conservatives, having Nixon meet with him, and lining all those conservative columnists up, so that by the end of the 66 campaign, Richard Nixon had the conservatives lined up with him, and he had, of course, Loudoun County chairman ready to go into 1968.